Also to you.
Lord Christ, we come before you this morning with hearts filled with joy, hearts filled with hope, and hearts filled with your love. Thank you for calling us to this place, St. Augustine's, on this campus of the University of Rhode Island. And we ask you to bless all of our good intentions, all of the work that we do, all of our thinking, our creativity, our energies. We ask you to bless the students, the faculty, and the staff of this place, and please inspire us to do your will that you are calling us to this day. Amen.
Amen.
So, it's been since last fall, about October, when the Bishops' Committee and I went into a letter of agreement for me to do chaplaincy to the campus. And as a result, I have been spending most of my time trying to discover exactly what it is that is, well, as the presiding bishop says, the Holy Spirit is out there ahead of us. God is doing work, and we're there. We're to go out into our communities and find out what he's doing, how he's doing it, and how we can join in. So that is what's been happening. Two other things that have influenced me. They have signs around the campus, if you've noticed on the street posts. It says, think big. We do. And then College of Pharmacy or whatever, College of Engineering. And that combined with our bishop, who says, dream it, do it, and if we fail, that's okay. So those words are kind of dangerous with a person like me, because I take them to heart. And there is a lot happening that I have seen, that I have discovered, a lot of people, as David said, that I have met, and there's energy everywhere. And St. Augustine's is becoming a recognizable entity on this campus, I believe. So there were several key events that happened along the way, and I'm not going to go through all those because I want to talk about specifically what's going to happen. But the most recent was on Palm Sunday. David said to me, Rich Youngkin was standing there, and he said, Rich, would you walk Jan downstairs to talk to her about the ramp that we're going to put in and the steps and everything. So Rich and I went downstairs, and when we walked into the Canterbury room, and he said, so he started describing this ramp and this new steps and the access that we're going to have down there. And as I looked ahead and I saw that cutout space in the wall down there, because he was saying this is going to be now a balcony, and there's a vision for this whole thing. But he said this is going to be a balcony, and can't you just see, you know, this room filled with people or whatever? And at the end, I saw this space, and I thought we should have a 100-inch high-def television screen down there that we can live stream things for campus. So Rich and I started talking, and it was just like this amazing energy between the two of us as we started walking around, dreaming big, thinking big, and just saying, what could this building be? What could we be doing with students that we aren't doing now? And that led to many conversations with Rich. I met with the Bishops' Committee to go over a very detailed plan that I won't go into in great depth with you, but this does exist, and I am trying to track some of the things we keep coming up with. So things have been divided into basically two areas. One is the actual physical facility of our building and our property, as well as different programs that we can be doing for ourselves to raise funds so that we can do this campus ministry, as well as the ministry that we would be doing with the students. The important thing, too, to know and understand is that since 1979, when the Book of Common Prayer was revised, the focal point of the church has been to shift from clericalism to mutual ministry. And I know that that's not anything new to you folks, but it's no longer about the clergy. That's what that says. It's about all the orders, lay and ordained, and deacons, priests, and bishops. It's about everybody doing God's work in the world, mutual ministry, and it's about being in the world. And so this whole thing is to reflect giving a space that is attractive and welcoming to not only the students, but the community, the faculty, the staff, other agencies or departments on campus, et cetera, et cetera. So just to quickly start with the building, the vision includes kind of like a refurbishing of things that have not yet been done. Things like updating the painting on the inside to perhaps a soft yellow color with white trim or something like that. Not touching any of the beams, not touching anything here in the sanctuary. What I'm talking about are hallways and the Canterbury room, what I call the kitchen dining room area, that kind of space. So upgrading that, finishing off windows replacement. We have not touched the downstairs and those windows need to be replaced. Perhaps getting the television, because that could be used not only for students, but it could be used for hosting, what was it last winter, the program from New York that we attended.
Oh, Trinity Institute.
Yeah, Trinity Institute. When we live stream that through the diocese, we could be a hosting site for that. Anyway, there are a number of different things that we could use that kind of technology for, and it's not hard technology. But anyway, dreaming big. Moving down to the kitchen area, perhaps building a storage space where we now have something rammed up against the wall and lots of things behind it. You know that space down there where we're storing our signage and things like that? That if we just close that off so that it would be an attractive space, and again, repainting down there. The space itself could be used for, as we've known before, or tried before, lots of different things, but one of the things, local organic food. If we find that students on campus are really interested in that kind of food option, that we could rent that space to someone who could have a cafe kind of thing for breakfast and lunch, maybe. But there are all kinds of visions that this space could be used for. In terms of that, I have come to understand that having graduated from college in 1969, I am a little bit out of touch with what students do these days in terms of what gives them energy, what do they like. So I have established 3 dates in September where I'm going to host student focus groups to have them come and look at our facility and say, hey, Kinte, what would you want to do with a group of students here? Are you in a club that could use this? Are you interested in open mic? Are you interested in student music performances to use it? Is it a place where we could have an art gallery for students who have artwork that they would like to display? Is it a place where a theater group would want to perform? Is it a dance venue? What students talk to us, tell us, what would you do if you could think big and dream? How would you use this facility? If you walk outside then, the outside property, we have a treasure here. I just never discovered, I didn't understand what was on this property until I started walking around with Rich. And we have a footbridge over a little stream down here that's overgrown. I don't know if that water could flow again or not, but we have a stone mason fireplace in the back that is overgrown with ivy that could be a fire pit kind of thing that students might use. This space is amazing. If you walk out these 2 doors and there's a little grassy knoll here, that would be a perfect performance for a summer theater production. If there is a summer theater group on campus, I don't even know. And maybe there would be if we said to the theater department, hey, come see our space, and would you like to use this? Put a little retaining wall around there. Additional parking could go in that area. We discovered through Rich that there are these things called, well, they're concrete with grass growing out of it, that's all I know. So you have grass that you can park on, and you still have to mow. I don't get it, but, so there are these different things that could happen on our property outside as well, where students might want to come and then just relax, as opposed to the quad if they wanted a more private space. This would be a private meditative kind of space. Anyway, so the question is, how can these facilities be used by the students, and what would they be interested in? And so these focus groups are going to be held. And then just 2 other things in terms of the facilities. A woman by the name of Regina Bell, who's a professor here, she is a professor of the Public Relations Department, got in touch with me about Rhodey Outpost and wanting to do a project with her students with Rhodey Outpost. And I said, well, we now are only hosting Rhodey Outpost. It's really been transferred quite successfully to the campus. They are doing Rhodey Outpost now. And our conversations went on and on and on, and she came and met me here and fell in love with this building. She's very excited about all the different programs that we are doing. And so on September or some date, 16th or something like that, her class is going to come here, and I'm going to introduce the students to the Rhodey Outpost and go through the history of the Rhodey Outpost and tell them about that. But she also then said I could use that captive audience of 28 students to do a small focus group. And so there's that relationship that is building. And then Annie Kammerer invited me to go with her to talk to the new director of the Childhood Development Center across the street. Our neighbors, who we've been neighbors with for, well, how old are they? I mean, she's been there 20 years, so years. And we had a marvelous conversation with them. And I have not talked to the Bishop Committee yet, but I'm going to tag Carolyn Davis, please, at your next Bishop Committee meeting. Would you give us permission to allow them to use our facility if they would want to do something with their children? They would like to just come over and use the yard sometimes as opposed to their yard. They already walk through our property apparently to take a shortcut, and the kids have to choose between going up the ramp or up the steps, and they get a big charge out of that. And so they're falling in love with this property. And so can we offer this space to them, which I have already done. But I do understand that we have, you know, a way of doing things that need to be structured. And so if you can just have a conversation with the Bishops Committee to say, yes, we can. And one of the things that I had suggested was possibly if the staff wanted to come over for a quiet lunch or a staff meeting or something, that they would be able to use our hospitality room. So that's what I'm wondering. As I talk to people, are we able to really do things like that if they come through me and I open the building or what have you? Nancy?
You know, we see that church is locked. We used to have it open 24 hours a day, and then because of insurance purposes, we had to close it. And I wondered, I think they have great ideas, but it always bothered me that people can't come in.
Okay, so and that's a big topic, okay?
Okay.
So can we tag that? Okay, so Ann, would you please take some notes and that's something that's definitely worth conversation, Nancy. But we aren't going to be able to do that here because that will. Yep. And my goal, by the way, is to be finished here by 11:15, 11:20, so that what I'm trying to do this morning is give information and invite people to start joining and participating in different things. Let me just quickly glance through this stuff to make sure that, oh, okay. And one other thing about the outside, Rich put us in contact with the Department of Landscape here on campus and asked them if they would like to have us as a project where they could redesign, they could offer a design of how we might landscape our property. And we now are in touch, and that person put us in touch with another person that we're waiting to talk with. But you know, why not let them design this for free and give us a little design on paper that we then could engage university football team or people to get engaged in trying to bring that design to life. But we are still waiting for feedback on that.
Along with that, I'm wondering about inviting some of the people who have done the landscape planning over the years here to kind of feed into that conversation, because there have been some, I mean, you're right about things getting overgrown, but there's some really nice underpinnings in terms of what has happened before and it's hard to keep up. So
And so shortly, I'm going to be passing around or putting on tables or someplace all these sign-up sheets, and one is landscape, okay? So people who have energy, thoughts, or whatever, or information that others of us might not have, please put your name on a particular group. And I'm going to go through each of these pages in a minute. Yes, because there are 17 of those pages, okay? So there's something that everybody should love. Yes, Perry.
Among all this good intent, I think it might be wise to go back 66 years in URI history. There was a group of serious but fun-loving young men in a fraternity who had to look over prospects for a new pledge class. And when we got together afterward to discuss, there was just one that stood out. His name was George Wiley. The problem at the time was George Wiley was black. We decided to offer him the opportunity to join our fraternity, and he accepted. And then the National came on and said, no way, you're going to be thrown out. And the group of guys said, all right, throw us out. Well, George came on, and he was my roommate for senior year. I got to know George pretty well. Boy, did he study. He was a chemistry major. I ever take organic chemistry and physical chemistry. You know what work is like. And George studied, and he excelled. And when he graduated, he went to Syracuse University, a very fine university, as a tenured assistant professor. But this was before Martin Luther King, before, you know, the March on Washington and the rise of civil rights. So George left. He felt the call. You know, his faith drove him to the call, and he went to Washington. Unfortunately, they took him swimming in Chesapeake Bay one day, and he drowned. A terrible tragedy. But URI remembers him. One of our new dormitories is named for George Wiley. It's a beautiful piece of URI history that shows what a group of young men intent can achieve. And my mind went back to that during this tumultuous week of racial violence. Thank you.
Thank you, Perry. So, in that same spirit, the work that we have to do, I would like to now talk about outside of the properties and that kind of a physical vision. The organization, or the way that I thought that we might move forward is by various sign-up sheets, where we can start moving away from I know everything to we're working on everything together. And I have called these Campus Ministry Action Team sign-up sheets, okay? And I'm going to talk about them. And I don't know exactly how to do this. I'm going to start passing them around, and if that doesn't work, they certainly are going to be around the building for a couple of weeks for people to sign up, okay? So if you don't get to one today and you're interested in it, let's just figure it out as we go along. But I'm going to talk about them and start sending them around, and maybe they can end up back on the pews or something. But I don't want to worry about that. I just want to get the information to you right now. As an aside to the focus groups, I have invited, does everybody know Kente Howie right here, our dear friend Kente, who has now joined us. He is a former